So
All right, this is the DG podcast. We're at episode 172, part B, where we're going to talk about video games that are coming out. We are going to kind of do a two-part thing. We're going to talk about video games that came out last week and video games that are coming out this week because, through just various things that have been going on, we just didn't get around to it last week. So, with that said, anything that's been going on for you recently? Well,
so much going on. I did tell you we were going to talk briefly about the Nintendo Mini.
Yes.
So somebody did a side-by-side comparison with the Nintendo Mini and the Wii Marketplace versions of games.
Uh-huh.
And apparently the Nintendo Mini is the best emulation and screen resolution that we've ever gotten for these games.
Wow.
Which is great because you would hope that a sort of reboot / sort of fun new version of the console would be that.
Well, you'd hope so.
They've done side by side, and the colors look better on the Nintendo Mini, and I mean it's going to look better than it ever did on your CRT, and it even has a mode to simulate a CRT effect.
Wow.
So it gives the pixels don't look so sharp, but it gives it sort of like that lined across feel to it that would have been more natural for those sorts of games at the time anyway.
Right. I remember we were talking about this before because we were talking about retro games and stuff and how people had developed filters and things for their retro games so that they could play them and have those lines. And I don't understand that. Maybe I'd have to see some of these retro games in full HD to get the real reason why people are like, well, you need to blur this out a bit and make it a little bit more fuzzy and put these lines in. Because otherwise I'm sitting there going, you guys are weird. Why are you doing this?
Consider this, though. The blocky pixel art that they used for the older games would potentially look better with lines going across them because it blurs the hard edges.
And yeah, that's what I was getting at. I think I'd have to see it both side by side to kind of get the contrast and figure out why. Because I'm sitting there going, what? This makes no sense. You're it seems to me that you're expending all this effort for no reason.
We recently, a couple of times this year, people have been one-upping each other in beating the record for beating Mario Brothers, the first one.
Really?
Yeah. It actually was broken like 3 times this year or something like that.
Wow.
We're talking within milliseconds. Like one guy beat it, another guy beat it, one guy beat it and got his record back that he had since 2013.
Is it are they beating it for points or are they beating it for time or what? Time. Wow. Just running flat out.
I think it's running in at like 4 minutes something.
Really, to beat the entire game?
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm assuming that's with no warps.
No, they actually, when it comes to time stuff, they actually, which I think is stupid, they allow warps and glitches.
Oh, really? Wow.
So if you're able to get a glitch to jump huge sections of the game and get to the end, then it's actually considered allowable. And I don't actually consider that actually winning the game.
That to me, that's cheating.
The community gets really obsessed with the glitches and how they're done and stuff. And I was like, but even if you nix the cheating part, that's not necessarily how the game was meant to be played.
Right.
So with warps, it's okay, it's in the game, but the glitches were never meant to be a part of the gameplay experience.
Right. The thing is, though, is that if you're trying to do a speed run to beat the game, I would think that you would have to go through all the levels, beat all the bosses, and not skip portions. Now, if they're like optional side quest stuff, yeah, I can see you just blowing right past them. But if you're doing, like I said, a speed run, I want to see you go through level world 1-1 all the way up to 8- what is it, 4? 8-8?
I agree.
I forget.
But I also openly admit that I do not get the speedrunning stuff. I just don't understand it. I can understand the highest score thing.
Although
games like Donkey Kong were just so hotly competed for, and it's very much a 70s and 80s thing.
Right. Although with Mario, Super Mario Brothers, I remember when it first came out, one of my friends said there's a way to get just a ton of lives and by extension a ton of points. And there was a certain world where there were the turtles coming down the stairs.
Staircase. Everybody knew about that glitch, and
yeah,
it kept increasing your points. And after so many points, you got the extra lives.
yeah.
And I had some cousins that could do it, and that made it possible for me to beat it because I was just bad at it. Because they would just give you 100 lives, and you're like, okay, now you can just keep trying.
And it doesn't matter how many times you die, you've still got to.
Yeah, I remember that glitch. It was such a big friggin' deal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Everybody knew about it. Like, it was this huge thing. I don't know if points work so well in Mario, but I am psyched that the resolution and how it's going to look, and it's basically going to be the best looking experience we've probably ever had with these games, even better than what you.
What was the name of this console again?
NES Mini.
What it was?
I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of good. I have a lot of good memories of the NES console.
There are a lot of good games. The only game I can fully admit that I believe is missing from this one. I mean, Chip and Dale, but that's sort of a Disney thing, so it'd almost be impossible for them to include it. But Chip and Dale would have been a big one. DuckTales would have been a big one. One I think I would personally say is missing is ice hockey. This is not on the 30 game list.
Wow.
Which I think is disappointing because it should be there. I consider it to be one of the seminal gaming experiences on the NES.
30 of the best retro games ever.
Oh, it's pretty close to it.
That's their tagline.
Yeah, Chance sent me a care package this week. I got it a few days ago and just haven't brought it up. He sends me gaming care packages almost like I'm a starving kid in Africa or something.
Super Contra. Oh yeah.
Super Contra's in there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the list of games that they've got here. It's like I need to get this so that I can play this with my kids.
Oh yeah, the controller. The only complaints I've heard, and I don't know if I brought this up with you, there are two complaints I've heard about the console. People who have seen it or had hands on with it, is you are granted save states in the game.
Oh,
which will make every game potentially
a little bit easier.
It's something like 4 save states or something like that.
Well, they've got Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 3, Legend of Zelda. It's kind of weird that they didn't put 2 in there. I mean, granted,
it is in there, I believe.
What was that?
It is in there. I think they name it.
Oh, there it is. They just moved it. It's not on the same line. Yeah. Okay, so Mega Man 2, that was a big one. Metroid, Final Fantasy is in here. Castlevania 1 and 2 are on here.
Awesome.
Super Contra. They even have Mario Brothers, which was the original before Super Mario Brothers. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, where you would have the head-to-head, and you would bounce and hit the... It was almost in a like a Donkey Kong-like stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Bubble Bobble's on here. Double Dragon 2.
One of the greatest games ever made. Double Dragon's also one of the greatest games ever made.
Ooh, Excite Bike.
Yeah, where you try and make a really rough map for your buddy to play, and it ends up being mostly just the bumpers.
That was the best part of playing the game, was being able to edit and make your own tracks.
And make it impossible to get through.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden, Zelda 2 is on here. Kirby's Adventure.
I wonder if they're going to fix the problems with Castlevania 2 and Zelda 2.
Which were?
Well, the glitchy issues with both of the games and how it was impossible to understand and the mistranslations and you know what I mean?
Hopefully. You'd hope so.
Because if they fix those and make them playable, then they're going to be the best versions of those games that ever existed because they were just practically unplayable. Nobody played and beat Zelda 2. Nobody,
Not
because
without help.
there was a cryptic thing that you were supposed to figure out, like that people were supposed to tell you, but the translation was so bad you didn't understand. You were supposed to go to a certain location in the middle of the night at the corner of the map, and then you get this item that allows you to move forward. And if you didn't know that, or somebody didn't tell you, you never would have found out.
Yeah, it would be nice if they fixed that. I understand if this is just a direct port, but they should at this point know what the issues are.
Translations.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Chant sent me 2 games. He basically sends me stuff like he loves to shop for video games and gets really good deals, and then he gets deals and he doesn't really want the games.
Mm-hmm.
Like he got for $2 or $3. Resident Evil Code Veronica for the Dreamcast.
Right.
And he's like, I don't want it, and I got it for like $3. And apparently he got for really cheap The Evil Within for the Xbox One, which I believe involves one of the guys who worked on Silent Hill 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a big scary game. I actually watched a walkthrough of it. People dump on it. It's not actually bad. It's just it doesn't fulfill fully its potential, which is always disappointing in a game like that. But I look forward to trying it out if I ever have time and yada, yada, yada. Maybe it'll be one of those play it around Halloween things.
So...
Well, I have more
keep going.
Bring up, I guess.
No, keep going. I was gonna segue into... So,
Well,
Halloween is coming.
Yeah.
And that actually sounds like a great... I mean, like, I'm reading Dracula right now. It actually turns out it's kind of a coincidence, but I don't need to go into that. But, this actually... Playing scary games and stuff is... It's apropos for this time of year.
It fits. I don't know if you ever really been like a horror movie game sort of person. I'm not really somebody who's really attracted to being scared. And I don't necessarily scare easy. What mostly scares me, the psychological stuff that just sort of eats at you. Not necessarily jump scares or monsters. You know what I mean?
Jump scares aren't really scares. They startle you, but they don't really scare you. In my mind, those are two different things. Because once the jump scare is gone, you're like, I'm not scared anymore. I was just... My adrenaline's spiked, and now I'm fine.
I think jump scares are cheap.
Yeah, they are. The thing is that I do... there are some horror genre movies and whatchamacallit, video games that I've enjoyed quite thoroughly. The Left 4 Dead series has been... Yes, exactly. Fantastic. There have been a couple of movies. The Evil Dead, I really liked that.
Yeah.
Is that the right one? Which is the one where he's like goes back in time and...
Evil Dead, Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness, that's what it was. It's the ones that are like, and the Monster Squad, where he's like, werewolves don't got nards, and he kicks him, and he's like, werewolves got nards. It's those ones that are funny, scary.
Monster Squad is one of my favorite movies as a kid.
I loved Paranorman. Paranorman was great.
Paranorman was good.
And Coraline was creepy and excellent.
Keep talking. I'm going to blow my nose.
No problem. The thing is that it's like I don't like movies like Poltergeist. I have never really liked that movie, and I don't really like the movies like I was going to say The Evil Dead, but that's not what I meant. Dawn of the Dead? Like the zombie movies that are...
The George Romero...
Yeah.
I never thought he was very good at all. Like, I knew people who was like, oh, he's brilliant, and this, and never thought he was any good.
Actually, the first time I saw Psycho, I thought that was a dumb movie. Dumb. The Alfred Hitchcock version.
Okay.
I thought it was
meant to be
so
more thought
dumb.
about, and if you watch it as a younger person, you don't understand it as much.
Well, the thing is that I was watching it. It was for graduation, and they did that party at the school where you stay there, and so it was like 3 a.m.
Did Didn't go to my graduation.
It was like 3 a.m. when I was watching it, and so I was halfway asleep when I was trying to watch it, and I'm like, man, this is so boring. So I watch it later, and then it's freaking me out because I'm sitting there going, holy cow, this is intense. Because I was actually alert and following along what was going on, and that's when it was like freaking me out.
The story is what gets you, and I think the psychological stuff where it sort of brings you in and it messes with perceptions, and that sort of scares me more than just like head exploded, or you know what I mean?
Right.
But even then, I don't really get scared. The only time even those movies affect me is if I keep thinking about it and I let it sort of like settle in.
Fester.
Yeah, but it's been a long time since I've ever seen a movie that just sort of settled with me.
Right.
Like that. I mean, I could watch any of the Aliens movies and not care.
Right. And, I've watched the Alien movies, and there were a couple of scenes that were...
at the very least, the first one being horror. Sorry for interrupting.
No, I was going to say, the first one, there were a couple of scenes that were really intense and were really freaky. But then there's, Aliens 2 and 3, and it's like, at that point, they just kind of lost it for me. And it wasn't freaky anymore. It wasn't a horror movie anymore. It was an adventure movie where they were fighting aliens. You know what I mean? An action movie.
Well, I didn't think 3 was that great. I thought 2 was fantastic. It's just completely different feel.
Yeah, it's an action movie at that point.
Yeah, and I love the action movie thing with the cool, like, troopers going in and blowing stuff up, and Bill Paxton freaking out going, it's over, man. Game over.
It's over, man. Game over. Yeah, see, the thing is it was still a good movie. It just wasn't the horror movie that Aliens was. Or Alien was, excuse me.
Yeah. But Chance is super kind. He sends me stuff sometimes. I've been crazy sick. My cat is potentially on his deathbed, which is unfortunate, and I'm basically forced to I don't know, keep him alive by spoon feeding him. Well, literally, I'm using a syringe and then just shooting it into his mouth and then forcing him to swallow.
See, the thing is, I'm really not a cat person, but there's every once in a while there's those cats that are just really nice, and yours is a really nice cat.
Oh, he's such a friendly cat.
Yeah.
He likes to get in your face and sit on your lap. And he weirdly liked you, and more specifically your shoes.
Yeah, my shoes were
he would roll around on top of your shoes and bite your shoelaces. And he's an old cat, and it's unfortunate, but it's almost like having a newborn kid who's got a lot of health problems.
Yeah.
I've got to be with him 24/7, and this is basically just keeping him around. And the hope is the medication, but it will turn stuff around, but it doesn't look good. But that's part of life. It's a bummer, but I usually don't let things like this tear me apart. It's just I have to do the struggle to keep him alive and then potentially losing him at the same time. And
right.
It's a whole thing, and it's cost me quite a bit of money that I don't have to keep him going too. And that's pretty much, what I've been consumed with. I've been watching Star Trek Enterprise, which I had a question for you. I have a scenario for you. You haven't seen the show.
I've seen episodes. I've never seen it all the way through or anything. But
okay, so I have a scenario, and I want you to sort of solve it. This is spoilers, but the show's so flippin' old now. I don't care. I don't care if this is spoilers. So there's an episode, and I'm gonna sort of set up a scenario, and you come up with a solution as a captain.
All right.
So you're trying, as a backstory really quickly, and I'm not going to go into it, you're trying to prevent this alien race from destroying the Earth.
Okay.
And they believe you're going to destroy them, so they're going to try and destroy the Earth before you can destroy them, whatever convoluted story. So it's really serious. You have to deal with them. You have the potential to negotiate with some of their leaders to prevent an all-out war.
Okay.
And potentially talk them out of it and convince them that this isn't the way to go and it could work out. So there's a possibility. and they set up a secret meeting with you on a planet and these coordinates, and you have like 3 days to get there or something.
Okay.
Excuse me. Now, there are other factions within that alien group who are trying to stop you because they still fully believe that humanity will eventually destroy their race.
Okay.
And your ship is super damaged, like crazy damage to the point where you cannot make it there in time. You run into an alien ship, and you're trying to figure out a way to trade with them to get a warp coil because yours is just shot now. You don't have any time to rebuild it.
Right, so you get a spare part and slap
and you're
it
never
in.
going to make it there in time, but you have to have a warp coil. And they do not want to give you one because it would take them 3 years to get home if they gave you theirs. But you have to get to this meeting, so what do? Because the solution I came up with in my head while I'm watching this was not the solution that they used.
That they used?
Yeah.
Huh.
What would you do to deal with this scenario? And I know it's sort of abstract and you're dealing with this not having been in the Star Trek mindset, but...
Right. You know, the thing is that I think that I would try to, get this warp coil. I would say, hey, look, we just need to borrow it. Why don't you come with us? We'll tow you. And then when we get there, you can have it back.
I don't know if you can tow in warp.
I don't know if you can either.
But I did sort of think of, give it to us, we'll deal with this, and we'll come back and give it back to you or whatever. Like, I thought of that as a possibility. It's not, they would have to grant a great bit of trust to you to give away.
Yeah.
And that seemed very unlikely that they would be willing.
Yeah, see, that's why I was wondering if the scenario you could actually tow them with you, because if you could, you're bringing them along.
I'm not aware that you could tow somebody in warp. I'm not entirely sure that would work. Yeah. If the cables would handle it.
The thing is that once again it's a trust issue, because what's to say if you can tow them in warp, you just drop them out at a certain point. You know what I mean?
Right. So I mean, is that your potential solution, or you're just like, I don't know?
Well, my potential solution would be to
and this is desperate scenario. Like you gotta get there to save mankind. We're talking billions of people, lives in the balance. What do you do?
Well, I guess maybe in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, look, if nothing else, we bring you all on board. We use your warp coil. We bring you back when we're done, and we put it back in your ship.
That is not a bad solution. My solution actually seems somewhat conciliatory to them. Explain to them, because they were very helpful. They were willing to help you out with repairs and that sort of thing, but they weren't willing to give you a warp coil, and you really need one. So my solution was, look, we understand this. It's not going to take that long to get us there. Why don't you just take some of us, at least the important people, and you can just drive us there 3 days out of your way. It's not that big a deal. That way we're not stealing your warp core. You're not worried it's not coming back. It's this whole other thing.
I guess that's true. That one worked. That's
could take
probably
you
better. Yeah.
You know what they did?
Stole it.
Yeah, they took it by force.
I figures.
And then they had this big moral conundrum of like, oh, I feel bad about it. Like, but we have to because billions lie in the balance. I was like, did you try asking if they would just take the captain and some of the crew there to talk to them?
Actually, that wouldn't be a bad solution, because if the other factions within that alien government
they would be
looking for the Enterprise,
and it potentially gives the Enterprise more time to repair it because it's in really bad shape.
Right.
Like, that's not a bad solution. Their solution, we have to. It doesn't matter. And then like the look of like you betrayed us in their eyes when you steal it from them. Like, I could, if there's a last case scenario, that would be an option. I mean, I wouldn't take it off if billions of lives stood in the balance.
Right.
But there seem to be better options that weren't even explored. And that's the annoying part of the show. It's like, I like the stories and everything, but you frequently show up into these scenarios. We talked about one of them in the past. And you go, I would never have done it that way. Like, I don't understand why they're doing it. It's weird.
That's not even something that you would do here on Earth. It's like, we're out in a ship in the ocean and where our engine's damaged. It's like, no, we just, sure, we may get a ride from a passing boat, but we don't steal their engine and put it in our ship. That's just weird.
Well, in all
Anyway,
likelihood, you would be like, "Can you give me a ride?"
exactly. Hey, we need a ride. Can you take us to the?
I mean, worst case scenario, because they didn't even bring it up, because they're like, they'll make it back. It might take them a few years,
3
but they'll
years.
make it. It's like it's the whole making compromises because you're in the horrors of space and you don't have any options and yada yada yada.
Well, it's
But I, at the very worst, I would have, if I'd had to take it by force so that I could do it and do a big sneak attack to prevent lives from being lost. I still would have gone. We're taking this. We have to do this because we have to save our planet's lives. Stay here. We will be back.
right. See, that's the thing. You want to.
So you could have even still taken it by force and guaranteed the fact that you got it, and still
Right.
turned and said, "We're coming back with this." You just
Don't
weren't
leave.
willing. Yeah, you just weren't willing to cooperate with us. We will be back here, and we'll give it back to you. And I mean, you won't be happy about it, but at least we've come back and returned it.
Yeah, you could always make the. I know you're not going to be happy about this, but we'll even bring compensation for your time.
Yeah, just because they did this sort of like a weaselly stupid thing where they're like,
Yeah.
"We beamed some food onto your ship." I was like, really? Like that was your like consolation prize. We took your thing by force. We shot up a bunch of the place. We probably using stun, but it doesn't matter. We had to disable your ship in the fight to prevent it from fighting our ship, which is super damaged.
Mhm.
Oh, by the way, here's some food. Like that's gonna make up for anything.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The thing is that I think that's one of the reasons that Enterprise failed. I watched the first episode and I thought it had a lot of promise.
The first season actually has a lot of promise.
Yeah, and I watched a few of the first episodes, but after that I didn't get back to it, and then I heard that it just kind of went downhill from there. And I'm sitting there going, and now that we're talking about these scenarios that they're concocting, I'm going, oh, well, that kind of is why. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It's a hard scenario, but I think
But you don't have to.
Well, right, but I think we both came up with a more moral decision than the one they went with.
Yeah,
so that
exactly.
he could sit there depressed about it for like episodes to come. He's like, "Oh, I had to do it. I'm not happy." Like,
Right.
Come on, dude. It's really. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Lives are hanging in the balance.
I wonder if they'll come up with another Star Trek series.
Well, there is one in the works. They've been talking about it.
Oh yeah. I remember
forget
that now.
what the name
Anyway.
of it's supposed to be, but there is apparently a new show in the works. Hopefully, it's better than the
Yeah.
lens flare filled one that we got at the moment.
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, it's just not. I mean, the first one was all right and fun, but if you think about it, it's not really that great a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun in the remember this from Star Trek sort of way, not the this is a well-written story sort of way.
Evidently, it's called Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah. The second one they did wasn't that great. Never saw the third one.
Yeah.
Well, what are you gonna do?